next. We now chat with Chris Brown, who had the call. His appearance on WGR, brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com. By Northtown Volkswagen, Western New York's #1 VW dealership. Shop online at northtownvw.com. And by Lockport Outdoor Store, high-impact gear for hardworking men and women. Chris, good morning. Happy Victory Monday. It was, what would you put the adjective on this one, the description? Workmanlike?
Stress-free,
pedestrian,
maybe?
A reminder of how the AFC hierarchy works. After Baltimore, it's a much different-looking defense, and the Bills kind of cruise to a big victory in New York.
Yeah, I would say clinical is probably a good word for how this game was executed, how it unfolded. And look, there are a lot of unknowns early in the season, so you just don't know what you're going to get. And I think the Jets' performance in week one made you at least believe that there were some point-scoring capabilities with their offense and their new coordinator, Tanner Engstrand. And Justin Fields looked pretty good, against a defensive unit in Pittsburgh that people thought was at least decent, had some stalwarts on the defensive front. So I think Jets fans were hopeful that would continue, and maybe they could give the Bills a good game, and it was not that at all. And look, I mean, the Bills came out, they set the tone early. They did get some help because the Jets in the first half, I thought, did it to themselves as much as, the Bills took care of their own business, which is what I think exacerbated things on the scoreboard. The first scoring drive for the Bills doesn't reach the end zone if Michael Clemens doesn't get a roughing the pass on 3rd and 19, guys. So stupid penalties, mistakes. There were missed tackles from the Jets defense, but hey, you can't fault the Bills for that. They took care of their business. They executed. And I do have to say the defensive effort was dramatically better this Sunday, as I think we anticipated it would be, because this is a team that knows how to course correct when, they have a down performance.
Right. It was immediately following that sequence, Chris, where the Jets get the ball back, and on the first play, Joey Bosa punches the ball out from Justin Fields. He gets a sack on the day as well. He's 3rd in the league in pressure rate through 2 weeks. Like, so far, and yesterday specifically against the Jets, that is, I think, exactly what the Bills were hoping for when they signed Joey Bosa.
Yes. He has made himself noticed early and often. And I think there's something to be said for this, too, guys. I don't know if Joey Bosa has ever been happier as a football player in his entire career. Just talking to him after the Week 1 win, when he wasn't happy with the defensive performance but was happy they got the win. And you probably saw him in the post-game interview after yesterday's game. The guy is elated to be on a team like this, and I think it inspires him all the more to make game-changing plays, and to have the impact that he has had through the first 2 weeks has been just what Brandon Beane had been hoping for, probably for the last 2 veteran signings he's made at the pass-rushing position. And look, guys, I mean, Greg Rousseau led the team last year in forced fumbles with 3. Bosa's got 3 in 2 games. So he's making a big impact here early, and I think it's only going to serve the rest of the defensive front well, because now tape is going to garner more attention for Bosa going forward, and that should open up opportunities for Rousseau and the others.
Chris Brown joining us on the Wester Hotline, chatting about the Bills and Jets. Yeah, Bosa, I don't know if it's exactly a fountain of youth that he's found here, but a new scenery, new scene, whatever. And also, Chris, one thing Joey Bosa might have here is kind of being able to lock in from week 1, where week 1's a high-leverage game. You're in it. You're on a team you know is a contender. You come out of that. And each and every week, he's got to know that every single time he's on the field, these plays matter. These plays are important.
Yeah, that probably helps, right? So, and not to mention the fact that you go from a high-stakes Week 1 game right into 2 straight division games. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how it all plays out for him. But, man, the start has been fantastic. He has been great out of the starting blocks here.
The Dolphins this week on a short week, so back inside the division, and Miami gets a taste of a player that they get a lot of, and that's Josh Allen. 37 touchdowns, 12-2 as a starter against Miami. Allen kind of owns the Dolphins, and now he gets an 0-2 Miami team that is, I keep saying, wounded animal status here, Chris, because things are going south quickly in South Florida.
Yeah, and, as much attention, as Tyreek Hill has gotten basically for, his decision to, pull himself out of the game last year at the end of the season, to his off-the-field problems, to his miscommunication with Tua in yesterday's game, the defense has kind of gone by the board, and it's been a major problem. I was trying to keep up at halftime of our game with what was going on in that Dolphins-Patriots game, being another division contest, and I saw one of the Boston reporters tweet, with Drake May taking a knee at halftime, that's the first defensive stop for the Dolphins this season on 11 opponent possessions. And I was like, oh, my Lord, I'm going to have to take a closer look as to just how bad that is this week. So I think their defense is reeling. I don't think they have the coverage people on the back end. Their pass rush has been a series of fits and starts, and they've already had a players meeting. So, we're in week 3, guys. You're having players meetings. It's not good there. But the Bills just have to focus on themselves, not get drawn into the drama that is the Dolphins. And I don't know, maybe they come up with an inspired effort. I think this is a team just like the Jets that the Bills have to step on their neck early and not let them up off the mat, and they'll quietly, go away, and it won't be much of a game.
And Allen going into this game, Chris, so yesterday he gets basically punched in the face, runs off the field. By the way, what an impressive moment there from Trubisky to come in without a warm-up, throw right at Sauce Gardner and get a first down. So with that nose injury that Allen's got, probably nothing more than an annoyance for him. We'll obviously not be worried about his status for the game, but I wonder breathing, how much of a factor that'll be for him personally.
Yeah, I'm not terribly worried about it. From what we understand, his face mask got pulled down, and so the brow of his helmet bashed into his nose. So his chin strap slipped off when the mask got pulled down, and then the brow of the helmet, across the top of his brow slid down and bashed his nose, and he looked pretty bruised up. He might have some raccoon eyes this week after taking that shot. I wouldn't be surprised if he busted his nose completely. We'll see what the x-rays show later this week. But he'll be swollen, but I don't think it's going to impact things too much. I mean, as we know, guys, you can breathe through your nose and your mouth, so he'll just, breathe through his mouth, I guess, if he's a little congested or swollen up there.
In those moments, I was a little nervous when Allen takes that shot and he's bleeding from the nose. But my thought was, what would it take to keep him off the field here?
Well, we knew it wasn't that.
Right. It's what could the prognosis possibly be? The diagnosis, whatever. What could possibly keep him off the field for a couple of plays or a half or a quarter? So, in those moments, they come back from a commercial break and there he is, okay, he's back. I don't know what it could be to keep him off the field, but it wasn't enough, clearly.
Yeah, I'm not going to contemplate that because I don't want to go in that direction at all. But I will say this. So Eric Wood on the broadcast with me had a pretty interesting take on Josh immediately running off the field to get medical attention. He said the rule generally for centers and for quarterbacks is if you are injured, you take a knee on the field. Don't run off the field and get subbed out because you prevent the guy who's coming in to take practice reps before the next play. So Josh ran off the field. Trubisky had 0 warm-ups, 0 snap practice with Connor McGovern, and had to run the next play with the play clock running. So that's, I thought that was an interesting point by Eric. You take a knee there where you're hurt, so that medical professionals and the athletic training staff comes on the field, they tend to you, and then while that's happening, the backup quarterback's taking reps with the center. He's throwing a couple of balls. Now, look, Mitchell Trubisky made it look easy peasy, when he rips a throw to Josh Palmer over the middle, which was fantastic. And, oh, by the way, Mitchell Trubisky finished with more passing yards than Justin Fields in the game. But that's kind of the general rule. So Eric kind of enlightened us with that one.
And that's what even more impressive by Trubisky to make that happen there. This week, Chris, I don't know how much you're thinking about Mike McDaniel and his job security. He got the question yesterday, and not that I'm rooting for him to get fired per se, but I don't know. It would also be fitting if the one team that they could never get over would be kind of the final nail in the coffin here on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm not wishing for anybody to lose their job either, and we know how quickly things can turn in the NFL. I had this Dolphins team pegged as one of the top 3 teams to implode this season, and it looks like it's heading in that direction. And I didn't think Mike McDaniel would make it to Halloween. It might be sooner. I think if they don't look competitive in this game, then it will get louder in South Florida for changes to be made. I do know yesterday, because I did see it on social media, the planes with the banners are already circling the stadium last Sunday saying, "Fire Greer, fire McDaniel." Mm-hmm. So that's already happening down there for a fan base that I think we all know, at least in comparison to Bills fans and other passionate fan bases around the league, can at times be pretty apathetic. The vocal minority is being pretty loud right now as far as the Dolphins fan base goes.
Short week, Chris. We'll talk ahead of Bills-Dolphins, and enjoy the week as we turn the page to Miami very quickly.
All right, sounds good, guys. We'll talk to you then.
Chris Brown, his appearance here on Buffalo Bills Football Monday is brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com, by Northtown Volkswagen, Western New York's #1 VW dealership. Shop online at northtownvw.com. And by Lockport Outdoor Store, high-impact gear for hard-working men and women. Joe, you get the sense the Dolphins, all right, 0-2. It's not over yet. Who's on the schedule? It's Josh Allen. Oh, God. Anyone but him. That's up next Thursday night. That'll be a fun one.